This podcast contains strong language and discussions about relationships, sex, and love. It may not be suitable for younger listeners. This is the Sex in Singapore City podcast, and I am Nick Selena. Hi, it's Nick Selena. Happy Monday evening, everyone. I hope you are all doing okay and looking forward to the working week. Boo! This episode is because I get a lot of DMs off both guys and girls whenever I post about my partner, and they're like, oh my God, where did you meet him? How have you been so lucky? Oh my God, where do I find one? What happened? You know, you're glowing. I love it. I actually love it. I love all of you so much. You know how many of you have just messaged me and told me I'm glowing? It's fucking fantastic. So I feel like I need to do this episode, which is spilling the tea on my relationship from how we met to now. I need to do this because I'm aware you guys were on a journey with me through that really dark moment when I realized I'd had, a toxic relationship with a severe narcissist. And I did all of those episodes about that. And I then just, suddenly on social media was all loved up. And you guys are like, what? How? So I want us to take us back. I'm going to tell you how. That's how. I'm going to take us back to my low moment because there's something I really want to touch upon before we start, which is if you go to my episodes where I talk about, the emotional damage of being with a narcissist, then I talk about the rebound and the damage that caused, and then the part 1 and part 2 recovery from a toxic relationship. A lot of the key pointers I was constantly saying throughout is basically you need to go off and heal yourself. And it's all very well and good sitting here in a studio and saying that, but going through the motions and living through it is a really fucking dark, horrible time. So I had, I reckon, 4 months where I was just emotionally in hell. And I knew he was obviously off sleeping his way around the island because, that's what narcs do. But I was so headstrong, and I don't know how I did it, but I was so headstrong about being on my own because I knew if I can get through this on my own, I can get through anything. And that's how I felt. It's just like, what was my driving force? Because I was, in that phase where I was just struggling to get out of bed every day. I wasn't sleeping or eating, the score, you've all listened. And I was not just healing from a breakup, but I was healing from emotional damage that this narcissist had caused me personally. And I had no idea how bad it was for those 4.5 years. And, when I look back, I can't believe how I lived through it. I really, really can't. Like what he would do and say to me is just fucking awful. And everything was said to harm me, to cause arguments, to evoke a reaction out of me so that then he can say I'm crazy. And I really, really, really suffered. But I was determined to be alone, and I knew if I went out straight away and slept with someone, it would literally just be a cover, and I'd probably even feel even worse after. And I'm not the kind of person that can go off and just have meaningless sex. I really struggle with that. I have to have some sort of connection. Well, that being said, wait till you hear what happened. You'll be like, yeah, all right, Nix. So I stayed single and had no sex for 6 to 7 months. Yeah. And after you've been in a long-term relationship where you have sex as often as you want, every week you come home, they're in bed and you fancy it, whatever, it's really hard and to go through that no sex phase. And I remember saying to one of my best friends was like, I'm fucking horny all the time. Like, I'm just struggling. Like, I can't concentrate. I just want to have sex again. I just want to feel a man on top of me. Like, why is that so fucking difficult? But yeah, I knew that I couldn't do it. I knew that I had to stay strong. So I purposely kept my legs shut from anyone for as long as I possibly could because I was on my healing path. What does this mean? This means I was spending my time not concerning myself with a man, but concerning myself with myself. I journaled every day. I was seeing my friends. I was doing things that I neglected to do for myself whilst in that relationship. I did a lot of research on what I was going through. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on it, and I learnt about personality behaviors. I learn about cluster A, cluster B personality types, which I will do, by the way, because you also ask about that. So I'm going to do episodes on that for you guys. But I really kind of, I guess, focused on myself and did a lot of healing. I really did. I was in therapy and I was alone. What? You're like, shut up, Nix. No one cares. We heard all this before. It's relevant to the story, okay? Just bear with me. So there I am, pretty much healed. When you leave, I say pretty much because when you leave a narcissist, the wounds are so deep and the people are so fucking dark that it takes a lot to recover and let go from. I was healed in the respect that I didn't want to be around him anymore, that I'd lost all that loving feeling that I had from him. I was healed in that I was actually content on my own. I was healed in that I understood my behavior patterns, in that why I was attracted to someone so dark in the first place, and I worked through that with my therapist. I was healed in the fact that I understood how bad he was and that actually I wasn't crazy and actually I wasn't the problem and I'm a good person and I went through this. So yeah, I was doing pretty okay. Then guess what? Oh yeah. I feel like the universe was just like, she finally got her fucking shit together. We're going to throw in Prince Charming. YOLO! So what happened is I think this was April, end of March, April. I was at a house party. Please note, at this point, I was on dating apps and finding all of them terribly fucking awful. Any guy that I actually connected with on the dating app in real life was not a vibe, or just never actually made it to real life. It was just text, and no actual date, whatever. I wasn't overly interested anyway, to be honest. So I'm on dating apps, very much happy single. I'm at a house party. We are boozing. During the day, it was a housewarming by the pool, drinking in the pool. Way, life is great. When the house party kind of was like not wrapping up, but we moved upstairs from the pool, I'm like, fuck, I need to get cigarettes. Ugh. Disclosure, young people, please do not smoke. I'm trying to give up, but yes, I really am. So I was like, oh, I need cigarettes. And one of the guys was like, hey, my mate's coming over. Just wait, I'll get him to buy you some. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then waiting. And I say, where's this guy? Where's this guy mate of yours? I need cigarettes. So the dude takes a photo of me and I'm drunk. I'm like 5 hours in to this boozy barbecue, by the way. Like I'd been dunked underwater. My hair was a mess. My makeup was everywhere. And then I just pull this stupid peace sign and stick my tongue out like, give me cigarettes, right? So this guy sends it to his mate. His mate eventually arrives. He is this tall, ginger-haired Australian guy, like huge, comes in, he's like super charismatic. And I think in about 20 minutes of him turning up, we were already like sitting next to each other, talking into each other. He reckons I kissed him, which I think is an outright lie. And within about 45 minutes of him arriving, we had left to carry on the party at his. It It is not like me, okay? This is why I want to tell you this story. So you guys where did he come from? Because I don't know where he came from. I had no expectation. All I wanted was bloody cigarettes because I'd been drinking all day and I was out. And yeah, that's what I was focused on. This guy arrives. I'd never heard of him before. The dude at the parties never, ever brought him up to me. It wasn't like I was aware of his existence, which is weird in Singapore because it's like 1 degree of separation, right? Everyone knows everyone. But this huge Australian turns up and I'm like, what? I don't really know what happens next. I only know because I got shown it and told about it on Instagram the next day. So I go back to his and we are drinking more at his house and then we do dirty dancing like Patrick Swayze at the end. We're even playing the music and I'm running up and jumping into him like, yeah. What I did is I recorded this and I thought it was a great idea to put it all on my Instagram stories. So yeah, I slept with him that night. Not gonna lie. Not proud of it, but I did. I wake up the next day in my bed, think fuck, and I look at my phone and I am inundated with messages. Like my best friends, my friends from the UK follows like, what did I just watch? Like you were practically having sex with this guy on your Instagram stories. I'm like, what? One of my best friends is like, babe, love you. Really think you should take that down. I've got no recollection. I don't know what anyone's talking about. So I watched my stories and hey, let me just explain. I had bloody shorts and a t-shirt on and he was in shorts as well. So I wasn't like prancing around in lingerie. I had my denim shorts on and a top. But because we were doing this like dirty dancing thing when we were hammered, it was all a bit fucking weird. I deleted these videos straight away. If you saw these, guys, you're welcome. So I woke up the next day, did the hangover fear, deleted everything. I couldn't even watch them all. I was filming us drinking and dancing and singing. I have single-handedly ruined the song Torn for myself. Natalie Imbruglia, Torn. Yeah, was my karaoke tune. I can't do it anymore. I just can't listen to it. So I put this all on Instagram stories. I don't recall a thing. I also don't recall his name. I don't recall him. I get a WhatsApp. He's like, hey, and it says his name. And I'm like, oh, hi. Okay. I had his headphones in my bag. I don't know why I got those. He's got my earrings at his. And I'm like, fuck. I fucking slept with someone last night. So for me, I did some reflection that day and I was like, wow, I don't recall why I would do that. I've been so headstrong about not sleeping with someone, about being single. And in my head, I was going to be single for the whole of this year because I was like, I'm not fucking jumping into another relationship. I'm not doing it. I don't want it. And I don't find anyone, on the dating apps even like remotely interesting. And yeah, I'm still doing me. I was in a really good place. And I think that's why he came along, because I was in a really good place, because I'd done all my healing. And then bam, organically, this guy just shows up at a party that all I wanted was cigarettes and I just thought it'd be another guy to chat to and whatever and go home. And no, it was a thing. So yeah, what happens is he then tries to see me, text me, and I'm like, not that interested. However, in my mind, and he knows this, by the way, I've told him all this. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to go on a date with him because I have slept with this guy. So I really want to know, like, I couldn't even remember what he looked like. Honestly, it was that bad. I was drunk, don't recall, obviously had a good time, but that was it. I knew nothing about him. So, yeah, he wants to take me on a date, and I was like, nah, I can't, got netball, busy. So I eventually say like a week later that I will see him. and we go to Spargo. And I remember saying to my girlfriends, like, I'm going to go on this date. It wasn't a pity date, but it was more like, I've clearly broken my rule of not having sex with, and it's now a one-night stand. So I at least want to see the guy. Like, this is not my behavior. I don't do this. I've never really been a one-night stand kind of woman. It just does nothing for me. So it was all very odd that, like, that I was so uncharacteristically me that night. Yes, I'm aware I was blind drunk, but also I've been blind drunk before and still went home and didn't have sex. So I'm like going on this date just to basically see this guy, verify in my mind, like, okay, it was a drunken mistake. Great sex, but whatever. Thank you for dinner. See you later, was my plan. And as I walked into MBS, I even walked past this coffee place, and my girlfriend was like, Nix! And I had a girl there. I was like, she's like, what are you doing? I remember saying to her, I'm going on this fucking date with that. There's this guy I saw last week, and she was like, oh my God, is it the one who was dancing in your stories? I was like, oh, okay. So literally the whole island saw that, did they? Cool. Yeah, so that was even my mindset going up to Spargo. I was like, I get there. He's sitting there. As soon as I see him, I'm like, now I know why I did what I did, because hot damn. Wow. Yeah, this boy is handsome as fuck. Like, charismatic, charming, tall, muscly, big build. And we're sitting there, and he's like ordered best champagne, and I was like, you told me you like champagne, so I've got this for you. He's like taking charge and ordering stuff off the menu, off the chef's menu, and like we're trying it all out together. And I just had the best night. And I remember a changing moment for me, right, was when I was sitting with him at Spargo, and I was like, I just want to go and like look at all the ships in the night sky. It's like, I think they look really pretty. And he was like, you do you, darling. And that was it. You do you. You do you, darling. Like, you go and film the ships if you want to. And he just didn't care. So I got off my little stool, went around the side and filmed all the ships and stuff. I was like, they're so pretty. And he was just super easygoing. I confessed to him that night, I didn't even remember him being Australian. I didn't even remember his accent or anything. In my head, he was British because the dude who connected us was British. And he was like, no, darling, I'm from Sydney. I was like, oh, okay. Went home with him that night. Do you see a pattern forming? And then stayed at his again. This was when I started to like soften up to the idea that I wanted to actually like see this guy. He asked to see me again after our first date, and basically it was as awesome as it was at the beginning. I was a bit like, okay, yes, but still trying to keep my boundary, because I was so afraid to drop my healing routine and process to actually let someone in. And I think anyone who's gone through what I've experienced will understand what I'm saying with that. It's like, I really liked being around him, but I just couldn't drop the ball. So I was trying to keep it to like only seeing him once a week. We'd go on date nights that he would organize, and he like did things I've never had before. So even just organizing date nights, like, right, I've booked somewhere, beer at 7, like, or we're going to go to the casino, then we're going here, then we're going here, like, dress up, can't wait to see you, get to mine an hour before, going to have bubbles waiting for you. He's just so proactive and stuff like that, and I've never, ever been treated that way. So it was a complete whole new world for me. So I was trying to keep him, I guess, at arm's length, which he was also aware, but also really enjoying his company. And I think it was probably by week 3 that we were both in it. That's how quick it was. Because I'd only known him a month when it was my birthday, and that's when he came to meet my friends and bought me this gorgeous Cartier ring for my birthday present, and basically it was just like we were together. And I think pretty early on, like around that time, we was also said I love you as well. So it's been super quick, right? By this point, I'm trying to keep my distance. I'm trying to hold off. But then at the same score, like I let my guard down by like week 3. I'd started to see him more than once a week. I was, like, dropping the ball. And he was just fucking great. It was incredible. And I think since my birthday, that basically cemented us, and we've just been inseparable ever since. We moved in together I say moved in together, it's a question mark because I do still have my condo. So we kind of live between 2 places. We kind of moved together into this gorgeous penthouse in July. So that was only, 3 or 4 months into the relationship. But I still go back to mine every now and again for some peace. Obviously, the cats come with me, obviously. But yeah, in the terms of this relationship timeline, you could say we were whirlwind because it was also very quick. But on the same score, I don't know if anyone's felt this, it just didn't feel quick. It feels like he's been in my life forever. And I was so open and honest with him from day one. He knew what I'd been through. He knew that I needed, time. And he'd always say to me, this is your process, you do you. You work through what you want to work through. I'm here for you. Just the nicest fucking man, honestly. Just the nicest guy. And I loved that I was open and honest with him and able to say, this is what I've been through. This is how I feel. I'm really hurting and all this stuff. Because you set a grounding for honesty, for open communication this way. I love the fact that I didn't meet him on a dating app. And honestly, in hindsight, I love the fact that our first night together was horrendous, dirty dancing. My best friend, she's video recorded on her screen that video and shows people when we're drunk. She's kept it because she just loves it on her phone and she loves to whip it out. I still can't watch it because it makes me cringe. But yeah, it's just I guess on reflection, it's such a moment for us because it shows how much we connected so very early on. Do I believe in love at first sight? And was that what it was? I don't know because I was blind drunk. All I know is when I saw him again, I was like, what? You are incredible. And I was able to be myself from day one with this guy. And that's really important. It's just been so authentic and so easy. So when we were looking to move in together, it just didn't feel like, oh my God, are we rushing this or anything? Everything's effortless in this relationship and just wonderfully effortless. And I never thought I would say this, but I do trust him to be faithful to me. And I've always said, I would never trust a man. Every guy has cheated, men, aren't trustworthy, especially in relationships. No, I trust this one because he's just so genuine and so in love with me and vice versa. And it's just wonderful. Why am I telling you this? Well, 1, because you're asking. But 2, because I think what I want to get across to you is, okay, so dating apps suck, right? And there are few and far between stories of them working out. It can happen organically, even during, a pandemic, even during a moment where you think you've hit ground zero and you're at the bottom of what you can cope with. I think what you need to always remember and do, which is what it's not easy, but what I did is really, really focus on yourself and make yourself complete and whole as a person. And then your person will turn up when you least expect it. I had no plans for this guy. I never expected my partner to come along. I think I probably thought maybe in a few years' time I'd move back to London and meet someone there. And he said the same. He always assumed he'd move back to Sydney and he'd settle down there. And, now everything's changed and we are pretty much inseparable. And it's easy for me now to say, yes, I'm this is going to be my husband. I will marry him because I will. And I'm like, it's going to be, this is a very happy, healthy, loving relationship of which I was not prepared for or planned for. And don't get me wrong, there has been a few bumps in the road. Mainly along the way, people have not really taken to it as positively as I would have expected. I think people were wary of how quick it was. And, like he just came out of nowhere and suddenly he's in my life. And I completely understand that point of view. But I'm thankful that I trusted my instinct with this one and it was authentic and real for both of us. He could have easily have been a jerk, let's be honest, and fucked me and left or played me off for a month and gone, nah, see you later. And by all accounts, before we met, he's had a lot of girls on the island. He's, never short of a woman, which, sucks. No, I'm fine with it, honestly. He's very, very handsome, charismatic man. Of course, he's going to have had women. But he was also, never interested in anything long-term. And he did, bless him, get rid of a lot of them very quickly, which sucks for the girls, and I'm sorry to hear that. But he could have done the same to me, I opened up and I could have been shut down. I'm so glad that I wasn't and that it's turned out the way it was. I would like everyone listening to, stay, I guess, faithful to the idea that your person will come along. And I know through the messages, everyone's like, I can't say how glad I am to see you so happy. And the change in my life seems to come through in my content because everyone's like, you just look different, whereas before, just the way you are, the perception, you're just different and better and glowy and happy. And that's the impact he's had on me. I don't think I ever really understood how dark and horrible it was until I guess I'm in the light with him, and it's just amazing. Yes, of course, we argue. Every couple argues. If you say you don't, you're lying. But it's arguments that we work through in a very, very, very different way to how I have before. So yeah, that's the spill in the tea on my relationship, how we met to now. We are very, very happy. We are, discussing weddings. We are discussing children. We just, it's great. Everything is great. And it all started from one drunken night of dirty dancing on my Instagram. And that is the end of this episode. Thanks for listening to the Sex and Singapore City podcast. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Nick Selena, and recorded at the Splicecast studio in Singapore. I'm available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and all major podcast listening apps. Do subscribe to enjoy a new episode every Monday evening. Please do give me a 5-star review. It helps other people also find my podcast. For more awesome content and features to read, you can check out my website, sexandsingaporecity.com. That's sexandsingaporecity.com. I'm also on social media. Simply search at Nick Selena, Nixalina, to find me. Don't be shy. Come say hi.